live any second here.
Okay.
And it'll be on your page exactly with mine. That's usually the sound that we're live, but I like to check. So I've been tricked. We're live. Oh my gosh. Welcome to Comic Spot, all of Vernon Keith Ruffin Jr.'s friends and fans and mine. Today on Comic Spot, let's get right to it. Here's his intro in his words, because I don't steal people's words. I'm giving him credit. Philly-born actor, comedian, producer, and educator, seen on Mindhunter on Netflix, with Triumphant the Insult Comic Dog on Hulu, and has a new album called The COVID Theory, available anywhere great funny music is sold. Welcome to the Comic Spot today, a veteran of comedy, Vernon Keith Ruffin Jr. Hey, Vernon.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Hey, how are you, Linda?
Hey, what's your stage name? Do you go by Vernon Keith Ruffin Jr. or do you go by Keith from the up the block?
Yeah, I go by Keith from up the block. I've gone by Keith from up the block, but pretty soon it's going to be a dual thing. So you're going to get Vernon Keith Ruffin Jr. and you're going to get Keith from up the block.
Okay, perfect.
So call me whatever you want to call me.
So you do a lot of things in comedy. When did you first realize you were funny?
Probably when I was younger. A lot of my comedy comes from I witnessed my mom getting abused when I was younger.
Yeah.
And after that happened, I kind of took it upon myself to be the clown or to add levity to the situation. So I was always doing like silly things. So I think that from a very young age, probably like 5 or 6, I knew I was funny.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean,
everybody else didn't know. But I knew.
When did other people figure it out?
Other people probably figured it out sometime around when I was younger. The first dream was to be a stand-up comic, even though I took dance and I took acting and everything, but I wasn't really funny. They used to call me Fozzie Bear. My jokes weren't funny. So I would say probably around high school. People started seeing how really funny I was.
Yeah, you kill. I've seen your stuff and it's amazing. I love watching Philly comics because you guys have a special flavor up in Philly. I was in Philly for a while and man, the comedy in Philly and New York is unparalleled.
Yeah, that flavor comes from cheesesteaks with onions.
Yes, absolutely. So you're a comedian, an actor, a producer, and an educator. Talk to me about, you got time now. This is all your time. Tell me about all those facets, where you've been with it and where you're going with it. I want to hear this, Vernon.
Okay, so the first dream was stand-up comedy. When I was younger, after seeing like Eddie Murphy Raw and growing up, I watched a lot of just alternative different things. I watched Monty Python, Young Doctors in Love, the Naked Gun movies, Saturday Night Live, Robert Townsend's Partners in Crime. So there were all of these influences that were there. So the first dream was stand-up comedy, but my mom put me in dance when I was younger. So my first big performance was at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia, tap dancing. So I was like a tap dancer. Fast forward, we get into middle school. By the time when I was about to graduate, I was always a great reader and great at with personality. And I used to love when we read the textbooks. I used to love to do the plays in the textbook. So I had a language arts teacher who said, you know what? You can't really go to a school to train to be a comedian, but Eddie Murphy is in all the movies. So why don't you pick up acting? I am suggesting you go to Performing Arts High School in Philadelphia, and I'm putting in my recommendation. So I did the audition. I studied Shakespeare, went to the audition, aced the audition, went to Performing Arts for 4 years, studying acting every day. In there, they had the TV studio part. So I actually got into a lot of directing and producing. The first professional acting check that I got was I starred in a Criss Cross music video. They were a popular hip hop group that was back then. So this was when I was in about 10th or 11th grade. After graduating, I was acting so much and not taking care of my grades, so I couldn't get into NYU like I wanted to, even though I graduated Best Dramatist from Performing Arts High School in 94. I ended up having to go to the Art Institute of Philadelphia. There, I started interning on a music video show in Philly called Urban Expressions. It was very popular. Eventually, I became the host and director and producer of Urban Expressions. We reached 10 million households. I did that for about 12 years. And then after that, when that show ended, my girlfriend at the time told me I should go down to the Laugh House because Kevin Hart is doing a lot of big things. And I started going to the Laugh House, and that's when the stand-up comedy, that's when I got back to The First Dream. In between all of that, while doing all of that, the way that I was making money for the most part, I was part of a theater called Full Circle Intergenerational Theater. It was an improvisational theater. The youngest member was 11. The oldest member was 95. And we would do improvisational games and go inside of schools and kind of teach and work through conflict resolution. So I'd already been in the schools teaching, doing things throughout the years. Fast forward to today, I founded Philadelphia Comedy College. I'm also the lead. I'm also the lead drama instructor for Freedom Theater. That's Philadelphia's oldest operating African-American theater. And I also teach rap and spoken word after school for Global Leadership Academy, on top of the acting things that I have on Netflix and on Hulu. And in January, I haven't told anybody this yet. You're the first person I told that. In January, I've already filmed it. CNN is doing Lincoln, an American President. Right? They already did a series called Pope. So they're doing a series called Lincoln, an American President. I'm only in it for 15 seconds, but I'm playing Frederick Douglass.
Wow, that is so
this
cool.
comes out, this comes out in January. So I hope that was a great way to explain like everything. So it's education. It's me doing stand-up comedy. It's me founding Philadelphia Comedy College. New album out. I'm a recording artist that has this album that's out now is my 9th album. So yeah, I kind of do it all. I think I came up in that era of Will Smith and Ice Cube and other African-American people who were acting, rapping, producing, owning their labels and doing things. So at a young age, I never saw any limit to what I could do. So.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great story. Oh my gosh. I like your name now. Keith from Up the Block. Said it like a white person.
No, that's okay. As long as you can say it. It's fine.
So what do you have planned? When, like, are you going to have a point in the future where you know you've arrived, or do you just like feel like you're arriving every day? Because you're doing so. Most people I ask, when are you going to know you've arrived? If I was you, I would be sitting back on my laurels eating bonbons right now.
Well, I think I arrive a bit every day. I think that life is not a race, it's a marathon. And I love what I do. Listen, I don't have millions of dollars like at all, but I can say that I'm moving towards happiness and stepping into my own greatness. I actually, for a while, I actually stepped away from YouTube. For years, I stepped away from YouTube only because I found myself creating things just to please other people, when at the essence of who and what I am, I do this to make my mother smile. I do this to make you smile. I do this to bring levity in a world that has always been at war for me. So for me, I feel like I have arrived, and I'm arriving a little bit every day. I know I'm not going to be here forever, but when I go, I want to leave these jewels that are here that can still make people happy, just like they did while I was here.
So what is the legacy you're trying to leave?
I think a legacy of somebody who had everything thrown out of them, had everything dark thrown out of them, and was able to change it into light. Not only change it into light, but change it into light so much that he's able to give that light to other people through Comedy College, through the Comedy John and Nerdy by Nature, these other platforms that I've created, to be able to give that light to other people so that they can then spread it, to other people. I want to be a focusing diamond of God's grace and glory through comedy, joy, happiness, and making great things happen.
Oh my gosh, you are such a bright light in a dark world right now. Oh my gosh, how special are you?
Man, thank you.
I wish I'd had this interview 357 interviews ago.
No, it's okay. Well, listen, I am here now, and nothing is by mistake.
Nothing is. So do you have some plans going on, even though we're in the middle of the pandemic? Are there some things in the works that you're working on today that
Yeah,
are
yes.
beside that?
Well, right now, what's going on is my new album. It's called The COVID Theory, and it is getting critical acclaim. The special
That's so
thing about
cool.
the album is that it was created after March 15th, when we all went into quarantine from March 15th up until, May 30th, up until my birthday. And the thing is, as a recording artist, I've been recording music since I've been 14 years old, but I never recorded myself. I will always go to a studio. When COVID hit, I learned how to produce myself. So this album is written and produced by me from the ground up. All songs are about COVID-19 and paranoia and fear and conspiracy, and they're great. There's parodies of MC Hammer, Bill Withers, Rick James, Men with Hats, Tribe Called Quest, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Little Nas X. So it's a short album. It's getting great critical acclaim, and it is all the way funny. And COVID stands for COVID-19, of course, but also comedy video. So, you know what I mean? COVID. And then the sentence, the COVID theory, this was basically how I kept myself sane and out of depression. So when you listen to the album, you listen to somebody that's on the edge, that's worried about catching this disease, that's worried about being lonely, that's worrying about the government, and then even worried about social justice. So there's one song like Safety Mask that's really about social justice and George Floyd and everything that's going on. So right now, throughout this whole process, I've been creating that, and now it's time to perform that, to try to get it out. So anybody watching, it's on all platforms. It's on Apple Music, it's on iTunes, it's on Amazon, it's on Spotify. It's called The COVID Theory by Keith from Up the Block, and you can check that out. It's on, it's on iTunes. So go check that out. That's cool. So that kept me up on my toes so far as recording these songs and then performing them sometimes on live, to where I'm not rusty. And now I have probably the biggest revolutionary idea that I think that I've ever had, that I'm making an announcement about today. And I wanted to tell you about it first.
Thank you
Okay.
again.
So here's the plan. What I figured out, I put up on my Facebook, I said, I want to do socially distanced shows, and who would come. And I didn't think that people would respond, but like 50, 75 people responded. Oh yeah, I would love to come out to a show. And they've been seeing the videos, and they've been seeing the stuff that I did. And I said, you know what? When I thought about it, I was like, I would feel very picky about going out right now to a comedy show in close proximity with people. Is it safe? Are they safe? And I kept racking my brain, and I was like, you know what? I can do something that no other comedian can do. I own enough equipment to build a stage anywhere. So I'm going to bring the show to you. I am going to go into people's homes with about 10 people so that they could do their own private comedy show for them and their friends, to where they could cook, they can have food, they can sanitize, how they need to. And the greatest thing about it is that I'm not going to charge them. So we both make money. So they act as the venue, bring me in, and we do what I call a fundraiser, not a fundraiser, but a fundraiser. That way they can make some money, have their own private show with somebody with credits that can do the 45 minutes that's needed. I come in with the equipment, with the speakers, with the mic stand, with whatever backdrop, do a hell of a show, maybe a little after party for 10 people, and then I move on to the next one. So that's the new idea.
Wow. So you're literally going into people's homes in person.
Yes. Going to homes in person, let them know to sanitize. I sanitize my equipment. We keep it socially distanced to wherever the parameters are, whether that's 10 people, 15 people, but not a large crowd. And then I can do comedy, because I really don't like doing comedy on Zoom. I don't like doing comedy in a parking lot. I'm like, listen, if I can go into the home and there are people right there, it doesn't take 100 people. 100 people can't gather anyway. But I have enough equipment to come and to provide this service. That way I can do real stand-up comedy for an audience that wants to see it and have a ball. And then they don't have to worry about paying. They just charge, whoever's coming, and they can make food, they can have alcohol. We can do it in the backyard.
So question, Vernon, you're in Philly. So how far will you travel to go to people's homes?
I mean, right now it'll be probably Philly, Jersey, maybe Delaware. Okay. Like right now. But the thing that I like about it is that it's something that I plan to continue to do It's something I plan to continue to do after the world snaps back to normal.
Super. That's
And I've
so
always
great.
I've been very into that. I was like, whatever I create, I want to be able to sell it and market it after COVID, you know, after the pandemic also. And I think that's a great idea. People do painting with a twist. They do all these other things. Other comics can't do what I'm proposing because they would have to hire a sound team or a sound engineer, and they would have to do that all the time. I am my own sound team.
You're awesome. You're so great. What an inspiration you are to people. Even people that aren't in comedy are going to be so inspired by all you've said. So we have the end of COVID. God knows when it's really going to be safe. So as a comedian, in a funny way, what do you have to say to people how to stay sane until this is all over? Got any funny observations or a funny way to look at it till it's over?
Yeah, I don't know if it's funny per se, but I would just tell everybody out there, I think that when COVID hit, what it did was it tapped into the soul of everybody to bring out who and what you really are. So whatever you clung to during this pandemic is what you need to concentrate on, right? So if there were people that were dibbling and dabbling with comedy and they did no comedy since March, then maybe you don't really want to do comedy. If there are people that were struggling with how to do comedy, I would tell them to create more comedy. Create until it hurts. You know what I mean? Keep creating, because this thing really brought out the essence of who we are, because with the world shut down and everybody feeling like they were going to die, the only thing you had to cling on to was who and what you really are. And I clung on to my creativity, my family, and those who love me. Now, I know some people, they clinged on to their family, but they didn't do anything creative since March. That means that you may not need to be in a creative realm. Especially now with everybody home, they needed entertainment. They needed raps. They needed jokes. They needed levity. And if you didn't create it now, then maybe you don't need to create it after it's over. Just quit.
I love you.
Leave it to Linda and Keith.
Yeah, we'll take over. I'll do the interviews. You do the work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. And I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I love you. You're such an inspiration. Now that you've graduated from Comic Spot, whenever you have something new to plug, tell me you need 5 more minutes and come back and plug something. And send me any links you want to promote, or if you just want to stick with COVID theory for now and your in-home shows, type that up so I say it in the right way on the post, please.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll probably, listen, my name is my address. And I strongly feel that at this point in my career, now that I've been doing it for 20 more years, what I need more than anything are people who love me, who love what I do. I'm not looking for fans or followers. I am looking for leaders, people who will take what I made and they will lead the charge and they will spread the word. So my name is Keith from Up the Block. You should see it right up there. Whatever it is they want, I am very easy to find. The album is called The COVID Theory, and they can find it everywhere. So I just want to keep it very simple. You know what I mean, for people, so that they can go down their own rabbit hole. I think the world has too much promotion. There's too many people trying to convince you to buy this or buy that. I can tell you that I create what I create with love. I love you unconditionally. And if you want to feel better or feel great, then check out Keith from Up the Block on YouTube, on Facebook, anywhere great CDs are sold.
I'm going to go check it out and subscribe before my next interview at 11 my time, 2 your time. Thank you so much. You're an amazing inspiration. I can't say it enough.
Well,
Keith,
thank you.
Vernon Keith Ruffin Jr. or Keith from Up the Block.
Yes.
Thank you so much. COVID Theory. Go to YouTube. Go on every platform except Hooker Heels. They're out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I wish you peace and focus.
Thank you. Same to you.
And love.
And you already have it. Yes. Love back. Love you lots. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody's talking.